Before sunlight reaches northern Tanzania, Africa's highest mountain is already glowing above the sleeping plains. Kilimanjaro rises from the darkness like a silent island, untouched by the restless world below. Yet beneath its calm silhouette, branches tremble, shadows move, and the forest quietly begins to breathe. On the open ground, zebra herds rise slowly from the cold grass and gather before sunrise. Some predators return from the night tired, marked by battles the plains have already swallowed. Others awaken hungry, scanning the horizon for one weakness hidden inside the moving herds. Nearby, a newborn gazelle struggles upright, discovering that survival begins with its very first step. And somewhere beyond its sight, a patient hunter is already measuring the distance between them. This is not the story of one ruler, but of thousands of lives bound together. Through one complete day, we will follow this kingdom from first light into total darkness. Kilimanjaro rises 5,895 meters, connecting hot plains, mountain forests, alpine rock, ice, and sky. Within the forest belt, monkeys travel through damp branches where mist conceals countless smaller lives. Beyond the final trees, shadow gives way to grass, distance, exposure, and a different set of rules. Here, there are fewer places to hide, while danger can approach from almost every direction. As morning spreads, zebras begin moving, their stripes breaking apart inside the swaying golden grass. Antelope alternate constantly between feeding and watching, because every lowered head creates a moment of risk. Even when no predator is visible, the possibility of one shapes every movement across the plain. Yet these herds do more than consume the landscape. Their grazing helps transform it. Hooves disturb the soil, press seeds into the earth, and leave pathways followed across generations. Zebras can process coarse grasses that many smaller grazers would struggle to use efficiently. Behind them, gazelles reach the softer growth, exposed after the taller stems have been removed. Different mouths harvest different layers, allowing many herbivores to share the same open land. A giraffe can see movement above the grass, long before smaller animals recognize the threat. One lifted head becomes a warning, spreading alertness through the herd before danger is identified. More eyes, ears, and noses create a living alarm system no single animal could match. Farther ahead, an elephant family crosses the morning plain with the oldest female leading. Their trunks pull down branches, strip bark, and reach food unavailable to many smaller species. As elephants push through dense brush, they open roots that other animals will later use. Young calves remain protected between larger bodies, learning where to walk and when to stop. The matriarch carries memories of distant water, dangerous ground, and seasons when familiar resources disappeared. After the herd passes, its altered pathway becomes an opportunity for smaller creatures moving behind. By midday, heat tightens its grip, and the open plains become a landscape of exposure. 3 lionesses lie concealed in the grass, appearing relaxed while watching every movement ahead. The first hunter lowers her body and advances only when the distant herd looks away. A second lioness moves wider, positioning herself near the direction the zebras may choose. The third waits near another escape route, turning open ground into a carefully shaped trap. Then the wind changes, carrying the predator's scent toward one suddenly alert zebra. The warning passes through the herd, and for one suspended moment, every animal becomes still. The lionesses charge, and the plains erupt beneath pounding hooves, flying dust, and desperate acceleration. Zebras turn together, their overlapping stripes confusing the eye as the herd surges away. The lead lioness gains ground, but each stride consumes energy she cannot spend for long. One zebra breaks sideways, forcing the hunter to change direction while moving at full speed. That single turn creates enough distance for the zebra to disappear back into the herd. The lioness slows, breathing heavily as another expensive attempt ends without a meal. Even the plains' most famous predators spend much of their lives waiting, failing, and recovering. A cheetah chooses another strategy, replacing heavy strength and teamwork with extraordinary acceleration. From the herd's outer edge, it selects a young gazelle crossing a narrow open space. The cheetah launches, its flexible spine extending and contracting as speed rapidly closes the gap. For several seconds, the entire landscape becomes movement, dust, breath, and narrowing distance. Then the gazelle turns sharply, and the cheetah overshoots by only a single stride. Speed has failed, leaving the exhausted hunter exposed beneath the full heat of midday. Above the plain, a leopard rests along a branch where shade breaks apart its spotted outline. It descends silently, using bark, broken ground, bushes, and shadow to conceal its approach. Unlike the cheetah, the leopard does not build its attack around a long pursuit. It waits while an impala studies the clearing, uncertain whether danger is truly nearby. When the prey lowers its head again, the distance between them has almost disappeared. The leopard explodes from cover, but the impala reacts before the ambush can fully close. The chase ends quickly, and the leopard returns to shadow rather than waste more energy. Cooperation, speed, and concealment allow three great cats to hunt across the same wider landscape. Yet none of them controls what happens after a successful hunt has ended. Spotted hyenas travel steadily across the plains, built for endurance rather than a brief explosive chase. Their clans are organized social systems, led by powerful females and reinforced through constant communication. At a carcass, strong jaws and persistent feeding allow hyenas to use what others cannot. Vultures descend from above, while insects wait below, each arriving at a different stage. Beetles, ants, and flies process the fragments too small for larger scavengers to notice. What appears to be an ending becomes a transfer of nutrients back into the land. By noon, predators retreat toward shade, while the air above the grass bends with heat. Lions rest, grazers slow, and even small movements demand energy the animals must carefully conserve. Now one resource becomes more important than territory, concealment, strength, or speed: water. The zebras stop before the bank, watching the muddy surface instead of drinking immediately. Only a crocodile's eyes remain visible, while the rest of its body disappears beneath cloudy water. One zebra steps forward, disturbing the silt while every animal behind it remains tense. Below the surface, the crocodile advances with almost no movement visible from the bank. It strikes too early, and the zebra escapes as powerful jaws close on empty water. But thirst has not disappeared, and the same herd must eventually approach the danger again. An elephant family arrives from the opposite side, placing the youngest safely between adults. The matriarch tests the water first, using her trunk before allowing the calf closer. Nearby, buffalo gather tightly, turning horns outward while their calves remain protected inside. Animals that normally avoid each other now share the same shrinking margin of safety. Beneath their reflections, the crocodile waits, proving that stillness can be more threatening than movement. Farther from the bank, a hippopotamus rises slowly from water that supports its enormous body. A territorial male opens his jaws, warning another adult without committing to a costly fight. As daylight softens, the hippo leaves the river and carries its weight onto land. After dark, it will graze through the night before returning to water at sunrise. In moving between land and river, hippos also transfer nutrients into the aquatic system. Beyond the waterhole, distant storm clouds reveal how unevenly rain reaches this enormous landscape. Our journey now turns west, away from Kilimanjaro, and toward the plains of the Serengeti. Here, individual herds become part of one of Earth's greatest large animal movements. From above, wildebeest and zebras flow across the grass like dark currents over gold. From the ground, the migration is dust, noise, pressure, and bodies moving without pause. Calves must remain close to their mothers while matching a pace they did not choose. Predators watch the herd's outer edge, searching for weakness, hesitation, injury, or separation. Hyenas, jackals, lions, and vultures follow different parts of the same moving source of energy. The herds move toward fresher grass, responding to rain and changing conditions rather than fixed borders. They stop to feed, scatter, gather again, and continue before the opportunity disappears. At the top of a ridge, the moving animals finally encounter a river blocking their path. Wildebeest gather along the bank, uncertain of the current, the depth, and what waits below. The first animal hesitates while thousands continue arriving, increasing pressure from behind. Eventually, one wildebeest steps into the river, turning uncertainty into a decision for the herd. Dozens follow, sliding down the bank as dust, mud, water, and bodies collide. The crossing fills with swimming wildebeest and zebras, fighting the current for every forward meter. Beneath them, a crocodile turns toward the vibrations of hooves, splashing, and frantic movement. It lunges toward a struggling animal, but its jaws close just behind the escaping body. On the far bank, exhausted animals climb through mud toward ground that finally holds firm. From above, the crossing becomes a vast exchange between danger, movement, survival, and loss. A mother searches among the arrivals until her wet calf finally emerges from the river. Downstream, scavenging birds gather where the current has carried what the herd left behind. Those that survive spread across the far plain and continue toward the next uncertain destination. Soon, the same animals begin feeding again because survival allows almost no time for reflection. Millions of hooves compress the soil, flatten vegetation, and leave water-filled tracks behind. Seeds and organic material travel with the herds, falling into ground disturbed by their passage. Across the landscape, migration routes become corridors of grazing, trampling, resting, death, and renewal. Vultures descend where animals have fallen, while the living migration continues beyond them. Even dung beetles capture energy from the moving herds and return it beneath the soil. Where the migration has passed before, fresh growth can rise among the older grass. The animals follow that renewal, creating conditions that help the next stage of movement continue. By late afternoon, elephants return to open ground as the heat begins releasing its grip. Zebras, antelope, and giraffes resume feeding across different layers of the cooling savanna. A giraffe reaches thorny branches beyond the feeding height of most other herbivores. From above the canopy, it can also detect distant movement and alert animals below. But at water, that great height becomes a weakness as the giraffe spreads its legs. Nearby, buffalo tighten around their calves after sensing a predator in the grass. A lioness appears, but the herd turns together instead of surrendering ground and fleeing. Faced with a wall of horns and muscle, the hunter chooses retreat over injury. As the sun falls, silhouettes cross the horizon and daytime control begins to weaken. A leopard leaves its branch and disappears into the changing colors of the land. In the twilight grass, a serval pauses, listening for movement hidden beneath the stems. One precise leap replaces a long pursuit, targeting prey the larger cats often ignore. Jackals begin moving along the edges of territories controlled by stronger and heavier predators. Hyena calls travel across the darkness, carrying information between members of the same clan. After hours of rest, the lionesses rise and begin patrolling the night-covered plain. Zebras and antelope gather more tightly, placing vulnerable young animals near the center. Beyond their vision, a lioness stops walking after hearing hooves shifting in the darkness. She advances silently, placing each paw between dry stems that could reveal her position. One zebra detects the movement, raising its head while the rest remain uncertain. The lioness charges, and the herd breaks apart beneath moonlight, dust, and pounding hooves. Again, the zebras escape, while the hunter slows and disappears into the grass behind them. Far to the east, Kilimanjaro stands beneath the stars, appearing as still as before. But its forests remain active, filled with insects, hidden movement, moisture, and quiet exchanges. Across the plains, predator calls and nervous herds remain connected through distance, sound, and fear. Beneath the grass, insects process fallen material and return its remaining energy to the soil. Rivers continue moving through the darkness, while crocodiles wait beside banks visited every day. Before sunrise, herds rest briefly, preparing to repeat the search for food, water, and safety. New tracks cross older ones, recording hunters, grazers, escape routes, and journeys already completed. A newborn wildebeest rises beside its mother, beginning another life inside this restless system. Elsewhere, an empty patch of flattened grass marks a life that did not survive the night. Grass, grazers, predators, scavengers, soil, and rain remain separate only when viewed from a distance. As sunrise returns to Kilimanjaro, the plains below awaken familiar, but never completely unchanged. There is no single ruler here, only one vast relationship beginning again with every sunrise.